I didn't leave in anger. That's what surprises people the most. They imagine a huge fight, doors slamming, a dramatic final line hanging in the air, but the truth is I left quietly. Almost gently, like slipping out of a room where you no longer belong. It happened on an ordinary evening. I got home late from work, totally drained, my head just a mess of numbers and deadlines. The house was silent except for the low hum of the TV. She was on the couch, phone in her hand, smiling at something on the screen. That smile, it used to be for me. I stood there for a moment, just waiting for her to look up to ask how my day was. She didn't. I said her name, once. The sound she made in reply wasn't even a word, just a distracted hum, the kind you make when someone interrupts something more interesting. And that was it. No insult, no argument, just a tiny sound that held years of distance. In that instant, something inside me just switched off. It didn't break. It just stopped. So I went upstairs and packed a bag, slowly. Carefully, it felt like I was going through motions I'd practiced in my head 100 times without even realizing it. I didn't take much. Some clothes, my phone charger, the watch my dad gave me, a few photos that still felt real. I left behind everything that belonged to the version of me who kept trying so hard to be seen. When I walked out, she still didn't look up from her phone. The front door clicked shut behind me, and that quiet sound felt louder than any fight we never had. I drove for hours with no destination in mind. I was expecting to feel panic or regret or just overwhelming fear, but instead what I felt was relief. The next morning, my phone had exploded. Missed calls, texts, voicemails stacked one on top of the other, her name over and over. I listened to a couple of them. Her initial confusion turned into worry, then worry turned into desperation. By the time I heard her crying in the messages, I had already gone numb. What really stuck with me wasn't her fear. It was the timing of it all. She hadn't noticed I was gone until her routine was disrupted, until the coffee wasn't made for her, until the space beside her in bed was cold and empty. That realization hurt more than anything she could have ever said to my face. After that, I disappeared on purpose. I found a small town, rented a little cabin far enough away from everything that the silence felt like a physical thing. No internet, no TV, just trees, water, and time. For the first time in years, I could actually hear my own thoughts without them being drowned out by noise and expectation. Meanwhile, back home, people started looking for me. Friends, family, even the police got involved. But the story they were all being told wasn't my story. In their version, I was unstable, irresponsible, cruel for leaving without any explanation. Nobody bothered to ask why I left. They just wanted me to come back and get back in my box, resume my role. I stayed away longer than I'd planned. Days turned into weeks. Then, one day I checked our joint bank account. And that's when everything changed. The savings we had built up over years was almost gone. The money had been moved quickly, efficiently, like someone had been preparing for this. I called the bank, hoping it was all just a huge mistake. It wasn't. When my brother finally found me at the cabin, he didn't show up angry. He showed up looking guilty. And he brought the truth with him. The kind of truth that cuts you slowly. She hadn't panicked when I left. She had acted. The money, the layer she'd consulted, the narrative she was spinning to everyone, it was all planned. And then came the part I think I already suspected, but hadn't let myself believe. There was someone else. And it wasn't a recent thing. It had been going on for almost a year. While I was trying to fix what felt broken between us, she was busy planning her exit, protecting herself and protecting him. The cabin didn't feel like a refuge anymore. It felt like the quiet moment right before a car crash. What pushed me to finally act wasn't a desire for revenge. It wasn't pride. It was clarity. I finally saw the entire pattern for what it was, emotional abandonment followed by strategic betrayal. I had been slowly erased from my own life long before I ever walked out that door. I hired my own lawyer, quietly, thoroughly, and the evidence started to surface, telling a very different story from the one she was telling everyone. We found hidden accounts. We found records of early legal consultations. We found messages that revealed careful planning, not panic. When the official papers were finally filed, she started calling me nonstop. This time I answered. First, she begged. Then she accused me. Then she threatened me. The voice I was hearing wasn't the woman I married. It was the voice of someone terrified of losing control of the story. The divorce was ugly. There's no clean way to end something that was built on years of silence and lies, but the truth has weight. And eventually it settles. The judge saw through her performance. The money was traced, her story completely unraveled. In the end, she kept the house, but she lost the illusion she'd worked so hard to build. I walked away with what was legally fair, but also with something far more valuable than anything we fought over: my sense of self. Months later, my life looks nothing like it used to. I found work that actually feels meaningful again. Just sitting in silence without feeling lonely. She reached out once, long after it was all over. A text message full of apologies and regrets. I read it, and then I deleted it. Some conversations just don't need a reply. Some endings don't need a neat and tidy closure. Leaving without saying goodbye wasn't an act of cruelty. It was an act of survival. I didn't disappear to punish her. I left because staying was slowly, quietly destroying me. And in the end, while she struggled under the weight of her own choices, I learned something simple and lasting. Being alone is far less painful than being invisible in your own life. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever felt this way, know that you're not alone. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about finding your way back to yourself.